Hi, good morning. Today in legal and regulatory aspects, we are going to discuss about paying banker. First of all, let us discuss about the system of payment. Actually, in case of negotiable instrument, there are two persons, drawer and drawee. But in case of check, there is a little bit of confusion created. In case of negotiable instruments, it's part of drawing. Who draws the negotiable instrument is called drawer. That means who signed the negotiable instrument is called drawer. On whom favor it is written is called drawee. In case of check, who signed the check becomes drawer or payer. On whose favor it is drawn is called payee and drawee. And the paying branch, that means, for example, I have an account in State Bank of India, Tambaram. So in such a case, if I draw a check in the name of some Lokesh, then I am the drawer. My branch Tambaram SBI is paying branch. That is also called as drawee. Please be careful. Here in case of check, there are two drawees. From the view of negotiable instrument, Lokesh is a drawee. From view of check, the paying branch, that is SBI Tambaram, is drawee. So please be careful, don't get confused. So paying branch is also called drawee. Now the Lokesh have an account in some branch of some bank. So his bank is called collecting bank because he deposit his check in his bank. That bank collects on behalf of him. So that is called collecting bank. Generally, all banks do the job of collecting, but there is no obligation anywhere to do collection on behalf of their customers. So all this paying banker responsibilities is based on Negotiable Instrument Act 1881. So first of all, Section 31 of NI Act says bankers have a duty to honor customer mandate. That means they have to pay according to the mandate of customer. So we have to pay the check when the check have sufficient payable funds. What is sufficient? Say for example, the check is drawn for 1 lakh rupees. If there is 1 lakh rupees in the account, that is sufficient. Second condition is payable funds. If there is a court order, then we can't pay. If there is a reason to offset our loans, we have to pay our loans, then we can't pay. After the court order and offset, after that if 1 lakh is there, then that is amount is called sufficient payable funds. So we have to look after all those things. If the court order is there, if we pay, we will be in soup. So please be careful. We should have sufficient and payable funds. That means if the account balance is 5 lakhs, court order is for 3 lakhs, our offset amount is for 50,000, then we can pay 1,50,000. Payable fund is there, check is for 1 lakh, so it is sufficient. Then the check have to follow all requirements to pay. Have to be signed, have to be properly drawn. If it met all requirements, then it have to be paid. If we won't pay, that means the paying banker doesn't pay according to section 31, then he will be liable for any loss as of this. That means payee may approach a court, he have to pay some penalties, late fee, like that. For everything, paying bank is responsible. So but bank no need to pay when there is no bank. When the bank is wind up, no need to pay. In such a case, the holder of the check becomes the lender. So you know the process of winding up of bankers. And there is a person who comes from RBI, liquidator. He liquidates and appropriately, proportionately share the property to all the lenders. That system is followed here. If paid against the crossing, actual beneficiary can hold banker liable. So I draw a check in favor of Lokesh, but the bank paid without bothering about crossing, the bank paid to Ramesh. Then what will happen? Lokesh can hold the bank responsible for that mistake. Next, payment in due course. So what generally happens is we pay negotiable instrument on or after due date in good faith. That means we believe that it's a true and without any reason to believe that it is a fraud. So section 10 of NAX says if we do payment in due course, we are relieved. Section 85 gives protection to JAIIB. Here JAIIB means paying branch, paying bank. In case of bearer check, if paying bank paid to bearer, it is discharged from duties, obligation. It don't need to bother about any restrictions on further endorsement, etc. It don't need to bother. It just need to pay to bearer. If it is a ordered check, if payment of due course is followed, banker is protected. That obligation is discharged. Section 89 gives protection to banker if alteration is not apparent. Say for example 5,000, check is drawn for 5,000. He placed 6 in front of it and 60 in front of inwards, 65,000. If you can't observe that, if you do that in such a proper way, that means we can't observe, then we don't need to bother, we can pay. But if alteration is very clear, even the child can identify, then you should not pay. So it's very clear, if alteration is not cannot be identified by a trained eye. We bankers are trained eye, we come across the hundreds of checks every day. So if we can't identify that change by a trained eye, that alteration, we don't need to bother about that alteration. So my advice is, whenever you come across such checks, if you have a doubt, say that it seems to be like alteration or reject. Okay, please be careful. Generally people only, the original drawer only do these things. They just write wrong thing, they alter it. Just don't accept them. Why to have future troubles? Then section 128 gives protection from section 31. If sign is forged, we don't need to pay. Then section 31 won't apply. Don't worry. If one of the signs is forged, then also we don't need to pay. Generally it happens in joint accounts. Husband signs first, then if the wife is not available, he do the signature of wife also. So one sign is forged, you don't need to pay. So in such a case, if any liability arises, we are not liable. Section 31 won't apply here. Section 128 oversees that. Yeah, section 31 also say everything is proper, then only we have to pay. Then if payment is done by mistake, then collecting banker or anyone cannot be held responsible. Paying banker have to bear that. So I hope this is of use for you. Thank you. Have a great day.